Hey friends. I I've been mulling something over for a few days now, I guess. And it ties in with a little bit of what I've been talking about in my last couple of posts. But I thought about, every once in a while I have this vision of of my human life, and it's not really just my human life. It's like I have a vision of being human on this planet, but from a way zoomed out perspective where the whole earth is just this tiny little dot and the sun is over here shining on this tiny little speck floating in the vast cosmos. And I think about what has had to happen on this planet for me to be able to experience what I'm experiencing right now. That I can read essentially any work written by another human simply by searching for it. Or maybe I'll have to order it. And it'll take a few days. But I have access to the sum total of human wisdom and experience. I can go get in my car, which is an incredibly complicated machine with thousands of parts. I live in a city. What life has had to do from being a handful of cells that went from being simple matter to being alive. It's remarkable. It's unfathomable. It's completely mind-bending. And that's the experience we're having right now on this planet. That's what we've got going. And you look out into, the reason I say this vision kind of comes to me, or I conjure it from a remote perspective, from a zoomed out perspective, is because obviously there's more life out here. That's not even a question in my mind. I can't, there's simply no statistical or rational explanation other than this happens periodically on planets that are the right size and shape and proximity to a sun, of which there are probably billions or trillions. But what we do with this is by no means determined. And every once in a while I think about this. I just try to remember, this is what life is trying to experience through my existence. You know, my ego is worried about paying bills. It's worried about my professional work. It thinks about caring for my kid, my family. It gets embarrassed when I feel whatever. When I feel embarrassed, when there's something I have to be, that I feel like I'm self-conscious about, or if I don't feel like I'm adequate, my ego carries all these complexes, and that's what it thinks life is about. It thinks life is about these thoughts and actions that get me these results that are all so micro that the notion of what's really going on, which is that we are consciousness evolving on a planet, and we've come a long way. We're at a pretty high level, like we've made it pretty far. We can split an atom. We have the internet. We're affecting the planet with our industry. It's like there's just quite a mismatch between what my ego is focused on and what actually life is about. And I don't mean my life, I mean life on Earth, arriving at a place where we have an awareness of the entire cosmos. We've been able to figure out about how old the universe is. We know we can't see the edge of it because there's the event horizon beyond which it's been expanding too quickly for light to ever reach us. We have penetrated into the nature of existence in such a way that we can locate ourselves in a context so large that and no mind can really conceive of it. We can only conceive of it as in thought or as thought. And maybe some of the great spiritual masters have experienced it not as thought. But I just come here sometimes to put what I think about day to day in perspective. Because, of course, I have concerns. Of course, I have issues that I face that are personal, that are immediate, that are very concrete. They're like right here in front of me, or they're in my relationships, they're in my immediate kind of narrow human orbit. But it sure would be a shame to live all my life thinking that that's what life was about. And when I get to that place, when I see that vision, I also see a context which puts all of these human dramas and these human conflicts, international conflicts, interpersonal conflicts, into a perspective that it just reduces them to minuscule concerns that we would probably be kind of ashamed to admit if we were truly resting in this larger context all the time. It would feel, if not shameful, then certainly kind of embarrassing to admit that that's what preoccupies us. These little dramas, these little conflicts. So I like to just go there every once in a while. I like to just come back to that center periodically and take a look at when I ask myself the question, like, what do I want to give to the world? What do I want to contribute? How do I want to serve? The answer to that question, or the answers, depend almost entirely on where I'm locating myself. What context am I choosing to reside in? And then from that perspective, what looks like the most interesting, the best, the most important, the most exciting contribution? So that's where I am today, folks. This perspective bounces off of a lot of other things that are in my mind, and that are either concerns or areas of focus. But rather than go into those right now, I'm just going to leave it there. But the exercise of imagining ourselves as being the eyes and ears of a consciousness that wants to know itself more and more deeply, and has managed to get to the place where we can understand the size and scope of the universe since the Big Bang, and that exercise of just coming back to that's why we're here. That's what we're doing. That is what is happening. It can put a lot of things in perspective. At least for me. Thanks. I appreciate you. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.